Hey guys, it's Cody with Taking 20 and welcome back to my Roll20 Master Series. Specifically, this video is part 2 of my token creation tutorials in the Master Series. In the first video, I showed you guys how to create tokens using a couple of easy to use tools called Token Tool and Token Stamp, I believe. And today I'm going to show you guys how to use a piece of image editing software called Paint.net. Now, if you're using GIMP or Photoshop or anything like that, basically what I'm teaching you is completely applicable to other pieces of software like those. But I'm going to show you guys how to use a very simple piece of software with Paint.net to kind of create tokens with a little bit more variance that you can really customize and get them to look the way that you want. So, I hope you're ready. Let's get started. Okay guys, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go to get paint.net. That's not paint.net, but get paint.net. And when you arrive, you're going to see this kind of little get it now section here in the corner. Go ahead and download it and go ahead and get it installed. Now, what we're going to want to do is add a plugin. Really simple. It's really easy. I'll include the link in the description below to basically BoltBait's plugin pack. When you get there, you're going to find this website here, this forum that I guess BoltBait. I don't really know if this is a guy or a group. I'm assuming it's a guy, but he's created this incredible add-on pack for Paint.net that's really, really useful. So go over here to this BoltBait pack 45.zip, click that, and it will download. Okay, excuse me. Once you download it, you can extract it, and when you extract it, you'll see this little .exe file. Go ahead, open it up, run it, and install the actual plugin. Now that we've installed it and installed our plugin, what we're going to want to do is go down here to paint.net and open it up. When you do, you're going to come to a screen that looks very similar to this. Don't worry if your colors are in a different place. It typically is down here. I just moved it up so you guys could see it. Okay, so I want to have a quick disclaimer. I'm going to try to go fast enough in this video that people that have used image editing software before will not be terribly bored. But I'm also going to try to go over every single step so that people that haven't done anything like this won't get totally lost and confused like I did when I first started using this piece of software. So, with that disclaimer out of the way, let's kind of get into this. The first thing you want to do is go up here to Image, and we are going to go to Canvas Size. On Canvas Size, you want to make sure that Maintain Aspect Ratio is unchecked. We're going to go down here to Width, and we're going to go 250 by 250, and I put 300 on the resolution. I don't know if it does anything anymore, honestly, but I've always done that by default. We're going to hit OK. All right. So now we've got a small box to work from that is nice and kind of even to put our token in. What we want to do is we want to look at our tools here. These are your tools. This is to change anything in color. This is history. So you can see here we have a new image in canvas size. If you press back, it will undo the last step. And you can go all the way back. You can go back 40, 50 steps, not a problem. Or even forward, again, if you need to. And then we have layers. Now, the way that layers work is like layers. The stuff that is on the bottom, so if we go down here to add a new layer, so you can see that background is going to be on the bottom of the image and the layer 2 is above that. So if I put something on layer 2, it's going to show up in front of background. If I move background in front of layer 2, the only thing you're going to see is this white box because background is the highest image. So I think that should probably kind of help you guys understand exactly how layers work. Now, we've already created we've already got our canvas to the right size. We're going to go over here to our select tool. We're going to grab this. Now, always make sure you are on the right layer when you're doing your editing. And if you're not, you can always undo it, but you want to make sure you're on the right layer. So we're going to go over here to background and we're going to click it. And basically what that does is that selects the entire box. And we're just going to hit delete. and that's going to kind of give us this transparent box here. Okay, so let's go to this tool here at the bottom called Shapes. We're going to change this from rectangle to ellipse or circle. And I'm going to give you the shortcut here. I like the size of 20. Now you can do this in a couple of different ways. You can make it thinner or thicker, whatever you want. But we're going to leave this stuff alone. Now the only other thing I want to show you up here is this anti-aliasing. Basically what this does is this kind of gets rid of the jagged edges by having a little bit of fade. If you want it or not, you can turn it on or off. And I'll show you what I mean. So let's zoom in a little bit. I'm just hitting Control and zooming in with the mouse wheel. I'm not actually changing the canvas size. It's still 250 by 250. Now, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to start to draw a circle. Now you can see how the circle is changing in different shapes. If you hold the Shift key, just like Roll20, you can get an even circle. Grab it, drag it up, try to make it kind of touch these top two corners, and then drag it, hold Shift, and kind of drag it back down. Now, if it's not perfect, that's totally and completely okay. It is really not a big deal if it is not perfect. Now, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about, while we are still in this adjust ellipse phase, I can turn this anti-aliasing off. And you can see how it becomes much more jagged. It becomes much more jagged here. If I turn it back on, kind of fades and makes it a little smoother. Okay, so now that we've created a circle, here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to go back to your select tool. We're going to grab this whole layer. We're going to add a new layer. And we're going to hit, excuse me, I'm sorry. We're going to go to this layer and we're going to copy it, Control C. Then we're going to go to this new layer we just added. It doesn't matter if it's high or low, really irrelevant. And we're going to paste another one in there. Now, all we did was basically make a backup of our circle if we want to change something later. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a bit. Now, uncheck this. So, if you uncheck both of these, they'll disappear. So, it doesn't really matter which layer you're working in, just kind of pick one. Okay, so now that we have our ring, let's go ahead and get an image added. So we can kind of start to size it all up and make sure that we're lining everything up right. All I did was I basically typed in D&D Orc. I found an image. I opened it up in a new tab. When I did that, it gave me this. I blew it up. Copy. And back to Paint. Now, here's the trick. The trick is I'm in an empty layer. And in the empty layer, I'm not on the circle. I'm going to paste. When you paste, you basically have an option. Because the image is so much bigger than our canvas size, Paint.net is asking if it wants us to expand the image, expand our canvas to match the image so we can put the whole image in there. Or we can keep the canvas the same size, which is what we want to do. We don't want to change the size of our canvas here. So we're going to keep this the same size. Now, let me zoom out here. We're going to grab this, hold Shift so that it shrinks at the right size. Let's move this down below the ring. Whoops. Okay, let me just repaste that here. Now that it's below the ring, we can size it and see it a little bit better behind the ring. Makes more sense. Okay, that looks good right about, let's go just a little smaller. That looks good right about there. All right, now we're just going to click off of it and hit Escape. And now if I go to move it, you can see that it's kind of cropped everything. So I just hit Control Z to undo, and I escape. All right, so the next thing we want to do is go over here to our magic wand. Okay, we're going to select our magic wand. Now, in our magic wand, this is kind of a weird concept. We're going to select part of the image on one layer and then move to another layer and grab that image. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to our ring, and we're going to use the magic wand to select basically the inside of this circle. It goes into where the color breaks, and you can change the tolerance up here, but in short, that's what we want to do. Now, we're not going to hit Control Copy on this layer. We want to select it on the ring layer, go down to layer 2 where the actual image is, and we're going to copy it. So I hit Control C. I'm going to go to a new layer, and I'm going to paste. So now as you can see right here, see how it's not completely filled in? We're going to hit Escape, and I'm going to uncheck this layer behind it. So now you can see here that I have just that kind of image behind the ring. Okay, so that's looking good so far. But I want to add a little bit of a texture to my ring. I want to create something that is kind of a little bit different than just a solid color. So what I want to do is I'm going to go back over here to Google. I'm going to go get me a nice grunge texture. I'm going to copy this image. I'm going to go back over here to Paint. I want to add this grunge in below the ring. So I'm going to go to layer 4 and add a layer above it. So now I'm on layer 5 and I'm going to paste. Again, it's going to ask me, do I want to expand? Oh, whoops. Control Z. Control Z. Okay, whoops. I'm going to paste. It's going to ask me if I want to expand. I do not. And I want to go get a little bit of a texture kind of behind where the ring part is. So let's go like right about, oh, that looks good. Let's go right about, yeah, there we go. Perfect. Go right about kind of there. All right. Now here's what we want to do. We want to go back to our magic wand. We're going to go back to the ring. We're going to grab this part of the ring because we don't care about the stuff here in the middle. We only want this. So we're going to grab it on the ring layer. Now that we have our selection, we're going to go back to layer 5 that the grunge is on. We're going to copy it on that layer, add a new layer, paste just like we did last time, and uncheck this. So you can see that we have this kind of grunge behind this ring. Perfect. So now we've got some texture. Now let's go ahead and change the color here. Let's go back to our magic wand and grab the ring. Okay, on the ring, I like to do a gradient. So let's go over here to gradient. Now this will not work unless you grab the ring first. Because if you go to do a gradient on this layer, it'll just paint over everything. So grab the ring with the magic wand and then go into gradient. On your gradient, let's pick a couple of cool colors here. Let's do something like this kind of teal. And on the secondary, let's kind of do like a dark blue. Let's do something even a little darker than that. Let's go like right about there. On the teal, let's go just a little darker there as well. All right, that looks good. All right, so now we're on our gradient. We're going to click and kind of drag this and line this up the way we want it. There's a couple of different gradients up here. So if you want something linear, like let me show you what this does. Linear will kind of create this line across your selection. Or you can always go back to the kind of traditional one here. Kind of fading from one color into another. And that looks pretty good, but let's make this just a little darker. I want to really make this blue. Kind of like that. There we go. All right. Now, we're going to hit escape until it's off. Now, we've got this grunge layer behind this ring, but we want to be able to see that grunge a little bit. So on the right layer, on the ring layer, we're going to go over here to adjustments, and we're going to go to transparency. And watch what we're going to do here. We're going to take this transparency down just a little bit so that we can see that grunge behind. Looks good right about there. All right, perfect. Okay, so now we're kind of into the fun parts. There's a couple of different things we can do here. If you didn't want to do transparent with the grunge and instead wanted to do a beveled ring, we can do that. So let me show you. This is why we installed bolt baits. We're going to, on the right layer, we're going to go over here to effects. We're going to go to object, and we're going to hit this little bevel. And as you can see, this bevel kind of makes this look like it's rounded. It has basically a highlight color and a low light color. You can change the depth to make it look more rounded kind of on the edges and flatter on top, or we can even round it out completely kind of like that. We can take the highlight color down a little. You want to make it look right there. That is actually a really sharp looking image. I like that very much. I'm not going to use the bevel on my token though. If you guys want to, you're certainly welcome to. Let's cancel out of that. Let me show you a different way to do this. What I want to do is I'm going to go down to layer 4 that the actual circle that the token portion is on. And I'm also going to bevel, but I'm going to bevel in a different way. I'm going to go to Object, Bevel, but instead of doing a high and a low with the white and the black, here's what I want to do. I want to do this, and I've actually written this down exactly what I want to do. So that I'm going to go, the first layer, I've got this cool color here. We can go black and black. And you can see when I do that, it kind of creates the full shadow. So instead of having a highlight and a low light, and you could change it whatever you want. If you wanted to do red to gray or anything like that, you could. I'm going to change this to black. Now, I'm going to change this, instead of black, let's do a blue, kind of a soft blue. So I'm going to take this over to 12, so red 0, green 12, blue 104. And I'm going to do the same thing down here, because that's controlling this bottom part. And you see how this part's more gray. Let me see if I can't zoom. I wish I could zoom in a little bit more for you while I'm in this tool. 0, 12, 104. I want the strength to be 0.2. And I want the depth to be 5. Okay. I'm going to hit OK. Let me zoom in a little bit here so you guys can see. Now, from a distance, when the token's on the field, it doesn't look like much shadow. But let's zoom in just a little bit more. I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to bevel this again. I'm going to do the same thing. But instead of doing it just to a 5, I'm going to take this way up and do this all the way up to like an 11 or 12. But I also want to take the strength up just a little bit, so that it's creating this kind of two layer. It kind of is darker here, and you can see right here how it's a little darker, and then here it's a little lighter. And I can even take this up a little bit more if I want. I could take it all the way up to like a 15. There you go, 14. That looks really, really good, and you've created this kind of nice highlighting shadow. We're going to hit OK. And there you go. We've got a nice, pretty token that we have created to completely customized. Now, the cool thing about this, guys, is it doesn't require you to do all of this every single time. Once you have something that you like, you can basically save this as a template. Just save it as a Paint.net template, upload a new image, and you can kind of recreate this over and over and over again very, very quickly. So before we get off of this, let me show you. We want to save this not as a Paint.net, but we want to save this as an actual token that we can upload. We want to save this as a PNG. So go down here to Save As. Instead of saving this as a Paint.net, we can do this as a tutorial. That's our Paint.net, and we're going to hit Save. That's our template. But we want to save this individual image as a PNG. So go down here to PNG, and I'm going to call this Orc Token. I'm saving it as a PNG, and I'm going to hit Save. It's going to ask you, just hit OK, and it's going to ask you, do you want to flatten everything? Go ahead and just hit yes, flatten it. Now you can see all the layers went away, and this flattened it, compressed all the images down into one, so they're not editable anymore. Now, because we have saved this as a PNG, this image is now uploadable to Roll20. Also, we can go right back in here and hit Control-Z and undo that. It will still be saved, and now we can go in and add another image. So if I want to drag another image over here, I'm going to open this up in a new image, grab it, copy it, come down here. This is how simple this is going to be, guys. Add 2 layers. On one layer, paste the image and keep the canvas size the same. Okay, Once you have that lined up, pretty good. Just hit escape off of it. Now, if you guys, excuse me, if you guys can remember, we're going to go over here to the ring. On this ring layer, we're going to select the inside of the circle. We're going to go down here and actually copy it on this layer. We're going to go to a new layer, layer 8, and paste it. And then we're going to uncheck the old layer. Now, the only thing I have to do here now is go back in here and repeat my bevels. So there was the big one. Now we need the smaller one. The other one was 5 and 20. And that gives it a little bit of depth now to the actual inner circle. And hit OK. Now all we have to do is save as another PNG. And we're going to say orc token number 2. And we're going to hit save. OK. And flatten. And just like that, you can make as many tokens as you want. Now, the one thing I do want to let you guys know is on your layers, when you go to save your template to your actual paint.net file, you are going to lose all of your like default bevel, like whatever settings you had in your bevel, you're going to lose that. You're going to lose your history as well. So what I recommend to you is if you want to try to remember what this bevel is, what the colors are, go ahead and type that out here. My bevel was blah, 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 blah. It was, you know, a dark blue that was 15 by whatever. If you don't want to do it on there, you can always write out yourself a handy dandy little note card with your actual token settings on so that you can remember and recreate more tokens later on that have a nice, pretty, uniform look. Whew, that was a lot today. And I hope you guys really enjoyed it. You guys should be able to go out and create your own fun tokens. Or you can even go in and find other tokens that people have made, and you can actually take the rings from them and make more of your own tokens. I've actually done some of that with the tokens that came in Roll20's Storm King's Thunder campaign, where I've gone in, I've taken their ring, I went over here to the select function, I cropped out the middle, deleted that out, and then I recreated their tokens with their ring with kind of the same shading here. And that's how I got some of my other tokens that you guys have seen before. So there are a lot of tools available for you guys now that you can use to create your own tokens. We have Token Tool, we have Token Stamp, and now you guys know how to use an image editing software like a professional to create your very own professional looking tokens designed exactly like you like them. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a ton of fun making it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If this is your first time here and you love role-playing games as much as I do, I'd love to have you subscribe. I'll be putting out new videos every week on a range of topics like DM tips, player tips, tutorials, and more. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, just hit that subscribe button down below and come join us. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Cody, and may your games be filled with awesome memories and even better friends. I'll catch you guys next time. 1, 2, 3. You gotta say it.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.
Okay, buddy. All right, kiddo. I love you.